Alright, so a couple of my subscribers have asked me to talk about this, have asked me to rant about this, and this is easy. This is something that I wasn't going to make a video about because I thought it was so obvious it would be wasting my breath, but you know what? We're here anyway. And I don't know what to focus on first. The fact that the issue I'm going to be complaining about was fixed in previous games years and years and years ago. The fact that unnecessary changes have taken place to make the situation worse than it was before the fix we got years ago. Or the fact that Infinity Ward really isn't discussing anything with its community right now, so nobody really knows what's on their priority list at the moment. But of course, this video is about concussions and flashbangs and how long they last. Flashbangs especially, but I'm just gonna be talking about the two gunfight winning tacticals that exist, and how the only perk that counters them is in the base perk category, which means you can only use it and one other perk if you want to counter these very effective flashbangs and concussions, thus hijacking a portion of your playstyle just to not have your gunfights taken from you from a piece of equipment that people can spawn in with for free. You know, in previous Call of Duty games, let's say Modern Warfare 3, you couldn't edit your classes mid-game, right? So if you wanted to have flashbangs on one class and EMP grenades on another, you had to make that decision. You had your class that had flashbangs, and you had your class that had EMP grenades. This was at least one more degree of separation from them being overused. You could put flashbangs and stuns on every class in an older COD game, but, well, then you don't have any portable radars or EMPs or jammers or anything else. Your versatility is limited. Now that we can customize our classes mid-game, you can decide that the class you're using gets a flashbang or concussion added to it whenever you want. Meaning you don't have to switch classes to something that you've prepared to use with flashbangs and concussions, meaning you don't really have to plan for it, you can just throw them on if you want to start winning a few more gunfights. This was an issue I complained about back in MW 2019, and it's an issue that comes from mid-match class customization. On the one hand, being able to change your class mid-match allows for a lot of flexibility and removes a lot of whining, because you can't really whine about not being able to counter something if you just literally can counter anything with any class at any time. That's all fine and good, but it removes that requirement to prepare and have your classes ready for anything that might happen. But now we have perk packages that can't be edited mid-game, so you do have to have your perk packages set up and ready to be swapped between if the situation arises that you need a different perk package. And unfortunately, going into this game without Battle Hardened means that you're likely going to lose a lot of gunfights to flashbangs and concussions, and using Battle Hardened isn't that effective at countering flashbangs and concussions. Getting hit by a flashbang while using Battle Hardened is still going to likely be a death sentence if the person that threw it has the intent to kill you and wasn't just randomly chucking it around the map. And it bothers me that we have this system where you don't really have to spend any points away from the rest of your class to get a flashbang or concussion, and that flashbang or concussion can just win gunfights for you for basically free. Not a lot of tactical equipment is going to define your playstyle, but your perks certainly are. So if you're running a concussion, you don't have to change your entire playstyle around throwing a concussion at me. Maybe you might want to have strong arm, the double tactical perk, or you might want to have fast hands, but those things are just going to aid in your ability to toss the little grenade. It's just tossing a little grenade. Now on my end, if I wanted to counter your concussions or flashbangs, I have to take one of my two base perks, half of the perks I spawn in with, and dedicate it to countering you. You didn't really have to dedicate anything to throw it, but you do have to dedicate something to counter it, and I think that kinda stinks. I honestly would like it if one of the base perks allows you to have a tactical. Other than that, you just have a lethal. Hell, I wouldn't mind it if you needed to use two base perks to run a lethal and a tactical. I wouldn't mind that, because lethals and tacticals just being in everybody's back pocket, I think adds too much chaos to the average gunfight. I think one of the reasons people look fondly on games like Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3, hell, maybe even Infinite Warfare and Advanced Warfare, was that you didn't spawn in with grenades by default. Not everybody had a grenade, meaning most gunfights were being solved by guns and movement and positioning instead of, oh, this gunfight went on a little bit long, I'm gonna flash you, push you, and just win it. Call of Duty Ghosts did this expertly because a flashbang would be 1 point, and the perk that gets you 2 flashbangs is another point, and you don't want to spend all of your points on the ability to flash somebody when you could be using those points to better define your playstyle. So players were given the option to run tactical and lethal pieces of equipment like 9bangs and canister bombs and frag grenades and simtexes and concussions. People were given those options, but they were more encouraged. The more likely thing was that the player was going to build their playstyle with a bunch of interesting perks with varying point values. And in Black Ops 2, a red dot and a suppressor cost the same as a frag and a concussion. So again, everyone's dealing with trade-offs and really trying to define each class, and those classes couldn't be edited mid-game. So you had to know exactly what the class was supposed to be doing before you loaded into a match. And I think that's great. I do. I don't think there's anything wrong with encouraging people to have to prepare and have to build their class for something, and I don't think it's wrong to encourage players to build more interesting classes for their playstyle, because not everything was guaranteed. The problem I have with current Call of Duty is that everything is guaranteed. In Modern Warfare 2, you have your perk package, you have your field upgrades, then you have your lethal and your tactical, and the only thinking you have to think about is which one of each do you want, not whether or not you should have it to begin with. And that really important part there, whether or not you should have it to begin with, just doesn't have to cross people's minds. So what am I saying? People are getting flashbanged and concussioned too often. It doesn't take a playstyle defining decision to concussion or flashbang me, but it does take a playstyle defining decision to counter it. With this perk system being so limiting, there's no reason that a perk like Battle Hardened should be as weak as it is, and there's no reason that I should have to run it on every class just to make sure I'm not miserable. So not only does Battle Hardened need a bit of a buff, the flashbangs and concussions might just need a bit of a nerf. And on another note, I would love it if Infinity Ward would let us know if they know anything about this, and also it'd be great if Call of Duty implemented a feature where flashbangs only work if you look at them, similar to Rainbow Six Siege. Giving them a slightly longer timer and maybe their own form of grenade indicator, and then giving me the chance to look away from them and then look back. Yeah, that's really gonna be awful on low sensitivity players on either mouse or controller, but I'm just saying, another degree of, hey, this didn't just completely remove my ability to fight back would be very nice. I don't like it in Call of Duty when I feel like I have to build my classes around equipment that everybody's guaranteed, because building my perks around something means I'm building my playstyle around it, or I'm taking away from other parts of my class that could have been a lot of fun. This is inherently why Modern Warfare 2's perk and equipment system doesn't work very well, because it's inherently limiting and very frustrating to deal with on a match-to-match basis. There's too much shit getting thrown around and blowing up and spotting you, so you might as well spend all of your perks just not getting spotted, not getting concussioned, not getting flashed, not getting blown up. And then UAVs are so strong, so you're kind of dumb if your ultimate perk isn't Ghost, or your secondary isn't a lock-on launcher to shoot down every stinking UAV that enters the airspace. For the level of stuff that you can throw around in this game needed a Call of Duty Ghost level customizable perk system, but we don't have that. We have the most limiting perk system we've ever had in a COD game, and the most shit at once that we need to counter. Equipment and field upgrades make up for some of this, but they don't clean up everything, and I don't want to spend all game pulling out equipment and launchers and things to make sure that I can have a fun time. And like I said, I don't want to spend half of the perks I spawn in with countering something that people can just instantly win gunfights with if I don't. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you when I see you. Goodbye.